mind to pray, a heart to seek your face, and authority to bring my members into subjection. I thank you for this moment and the opportunity that each day brings. I know that each day is special and I am empowered with unlimited potential. There are no ceilings on my life, obstacles that cannot be overcome, or barriers that can stand in my way. In fact, this is the greatest day of my life, and I am free to exercise all of the gifts and talents you have blessed me with. My hopes and dreams can manifest today, and I approach this moment with great expectation for miracles, breakthrough, and deliverance. I stand before you, Lord, naked, offering no excuses or justifications for my shortcomings and weaknesses. I come, Lord, seeking your standard and not those of men. I pray that you will forgive me my sins, known and unknown. Forgive every thought, deed, action, motive, or intent of my heart that is not lined up with your word, your will, or your calling and purpose for my life. Please forgive secret faults and uproot any seed of discontent that has been planted in my life. Forgive me, Lord, if I have held back the tide, and give me a heart to restore every person that I have wronged. Just as you forgive me, I forgive those that have wronged me, and I let go of any aught, bitterness, or ill will that I have held in my heart. I will not allow sin and bitterness to cut off the flow of blessings into my life. I repent right now in the name of Jesus, and I receive the power of the blood to cleanse me from all iniquity. I come before you, Lord, with a heart that is after your own, and a mind that is stayed on you. I thank you, Lord, for saving me from myself and the consequences of sin. I surrender, Lord, and give you total and complete reign over my life. I willingly submit to you in thanksgiving and praise. I thank you, Lord, for the relationship and fellowship that you have allowed me to share with you. I thank you for every moment, prayer, word, and opportunity to gain revelation and understanding concerning you. Forgive me for the times I have taken you for granted, or moments where I've allowed my focus and discipline to slip. I choose you, Lord, in all of your benefits, and denounce all ties and fellowship with the world. I have no place in the world, and denounce everything that it offers. You have given me a choice, Lord, and I choose to be in covenant with you. I have crossed the line of no return, and I will not look back. Each day I am getting more and more like you and growing further and further from this world. My reality in Christ is more real than what my natural eyes behold, and I know that you are not a million miles away. You are right here with me every step of the way. I will have confidence in you, Lord, concerning every situation I face, every decision I make, and every temptation in my path. Give me an ear, Lord, to hear your instruction, eyes that will not be deceived, and a heart that will remain faithful. My life has been built on the foundation that you are the Christ, the Son of the living God. You died on the cross for my sins, and your blood was shed for me. I exercise total faith and confidence in my belief that death was powerless to hold you in the grave, and that you rose again and resurrected every dead thing. I receive your resurrection power and declare that there is no dead thing in my life. I speak life in all things pertaining to me. Even now, Lord, I pray that you will breathe life into my relationships, my home, my dreams, my career, and my calling and purpose. Let there be no cracks in my foundation, and restore every bone that has been broken. I pray, Lord, that dead branches be pruned for me, and my harvest bear much fruit. I offer no resistance, and pray that all ungodly distractions be pruned from me, whether they are people, unhealthy relationships, environments, dead situations, ungodly influences, or anything that is not expedient for me. I distance myself right now from every dead thing and release them from my life in Jesus' name. I thank you, Lord, that I have inherited life through your sacrifice, forgiveness for my sins through your blood, revelation through your word, and I have been empowered by your spirit. I take precious time, Lord, to fully grasp and consider what my relationship with you means. Help me to never lose sight of the fact that I have an adversary that must be fought each day. My adversary is the world and Satan, who is the prince of this world. The world around me is not my home, and each day it becomes more a reflection of Satan, its prince. I am not ignorant to Satan's devices, and I understand that the world is designed for my destruction. The allurement of pleasure and the temptations that cross my eyes are for the purpose of robbing me of everything I have inherited through Christ. Every trap, every lust, and the pride that is in the world are set against me on all sides.
Yes, Lord.
The hope that I have is in patiently walking according to your word and staying firm to the covenant I have made with you. The world cannot strip me of my authority, but I can hand it over. I will not be deceived by what I see, hear, or how I feel. If it is not of God, then it is for my destruction. Help me, Lord, to see the spirit behind the temptation, The word tells me that Satan came to steal, kill, and destroy. But Jesus comes that I might have life and have it more abundantly. I rebuke and bind every influence that seeks to draw me away from you. For it is nothing more than a gateway to hell and will rob me of my eternal destiny. Father, I know you are able to do all things.
Able to do all things, Lord. Able to do all things. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Should I say good afternoon? But in about 3 minutes it'll be the afternoon, but nonetheless, we're still on the morning side of things. Welcome to the Prince Carter Show. I'm your host, Prince Carter, on this cold 39 degrees in the city of St. Louis. Welcome to Prince Carter Show. Folks, I had to hop on here. There's some things that are being talked about that needs to be addressed, and we got to figure out how we can make this a better city. St. Louis, Missouri. Believe it or not, we can do better, folks. We can do better. And I hope and pray that at some point in time, folks jump on the bandwagon and aid and assist us in getting a better community, a better city as a whole. One of the things I want to talk about real quickly here, I got to pull this thing back up. I was reading just a moment ago about a shooting that took place on last evening in the Carr Square neighborhood. And it has been established that a 5-year-old was shot by a stray bullet. If any of you all have been paying attention to me and listening at all, I've been telling you time and time again that there is a serious problem in our community with all of these weapons. And I call them, to me, they are weapons of mass destruction. Anytime you can take a gun that shoots 50 and 100 rounds, that, in my opinion, this is just my opinion now, becomes a weapon of mass destruction because you can kill masses of people at one time. There's no need for a 50 or 100 round drum in a residential neighborhood. That should be illegal. It should be banned. But it's not, because, for the most part, the damage is being done to people who have been deemed 3/5 of a human being. Okay? And I don't know if they've ever changed that. Did we ever become a whole human being, or are we still 3/5 of a human being? I don't even know. Maybe somebody can call me and tell me. 314-536-1458. Did they change it from us being 3/5 of a human being to a whole human being, or are we still 3/5 of a human being? If anybody can answer that, I'd appreciate the call. 314-732-1212. You can call in. We have open lines. We don't have a subject. I'm just talking about some of the things that I've been picking up on and reading. Now, with this child, this baby, I don't know the child. I don't know the child's name or anything. I don't know anything about the child. All I know is it's a 5-year-old child that was shot apparently from a shooting outside, and the bullet went through the window or the wall or something and went into the house. These guns that have been dumped into our communities. And let me tell you something, folks. These guns, many of them are so cheap that anybody can almost go and buy them today. But let's stay focused on this 50 and these 100 round clips and all these extended clips, because they know they don't shoot that well, so they need extra bullets to shoot whatever they can. And it's costing lives. This baby was fortunate. Thank God the bullet only grazed the baby. That's still a sad thing, but the baby's going to live. It's not going to get any better if we just continue to sit back and tolerate and accept this. I was talking to somebody earlier today. We as a people, we as a community have become so comfortable with accepting nonsense, foolish, and ignorance. It's acceptable. Foolish nonsense and ignorance is so acceptable now. It's the new norm, and it's not right. It's not helping us. It's not aiding our betterment. We as a people have to understand that we are not doing the best that we can do. We as a people have to understand that there's better ways. And I got a caller here on the line. Is there a lady or a gentleman there?
Yeah, what's up, Prince Carter?
Oh, it's a gentleman. And I got to figure out why you're not coming through the way that you should be coming through. And
well, I don't know, but nobody would ever call me a gentleman. So, what's the story?
Well, Mark, I'm really fed up and pissed off with all the. See, you don't live in the black community. You probably couldn't relate to this, but there's a boatload of weapons. I call them weapons of mass destruction. They shoot 50 and 100 round clips that have been dumped off into these neighborhoods and communities. And last evening, a 5-year-old child luckily was only grazed by a stray bullet that went into the house. There was apparently a shooting somewhere near the child's house, and a stray bullet went in and grazed this 5-year-old. And we as a people and as a community continue to sit back, tolerate, and accept this nonsense. I don't understand it.
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry to tell you this, Prince, but unfortunately, not only is there nothing you can do about it,
I disagree with that. Mark, I disagree with that. There's something that can be done.
Yeah, okay. Well, you could disagree, but the worst part is this country of Nazis is determined to spread more of those guns to everybody, and you're not going to stop them.
Mark, we have to, as a people, as a community, we have to say it's time out for what we can't do. Let's find things that we can do and ways that we can address this.
Well, where do you think you live? You live in Nazi Germany. What are you talking about?
I live in North St. Louis City. Is that the same thing?
No, you live in Nazi Germany, and the President of the United States today, or in 10 days, will be Adolf Hitler. So I don't understand what what do you think? These people aren't kidding. I mean, I'm Jewish. I can tell you what they do. They put you in a concentration camp and they kill you. These people aren't playing. This is the not by much, but it's a majority of Americans that voted for it. And I got to tell you, there are more Americans supporting this Nazism than supported Adolf Hitler in the original Germany.
Why is that, Mark? Why?
Because what I've told you and I've said, which, Onion didn't like me to say it. He didn't disagree with it. He just didn't like me to say it. But the bottom line is white people are no good.
Well, Mark, I have to respectfully disagree to a certain extent. It's some good white people. It's not a lot of them, but we can't condemn them all.
No, it's not. No. It's not a question of whether there are some good ones. Of course there are good ones. But overall,
the majority rules.
White people are no damn good. Now, I mean, do you really? You don't disagree with that, do you really?
I would say the white people that are in positions of power are no good. I would venture to say that.
Say it that way. There are some good ones, though. I mean, Gavin Newsom in California is a good one, but Donald Trump wants to put him in jail. Mm-hmm. And he's out there talking bad about him this morning and about the people in California who are being destroyed in those fires.
That's horrible. And he doesn't want to give them any money.
And he doesn't want to give them any money. So, I mean, when I tell you that this country is now Nazi Germany, I got to tell you, I'm not far from right, and I might be exactly right.
Mark Kaysen, you're educated. Maybe perhaps you can help me understand something here. this is what I'm struggling with right here in my own little world. How is it that this country, the United States of America, we can send hundreds of millions of dollars to foreign countries to fight wars, but they don't want to support and fund California with these fires? How could that be?
Okay, because Donald Trump is a madman. That's the problem. And there are people who will believe anything that he says. Anything.
Even shooting
anything.
Like shooting Clorox into yourself?
Yeah, and they'll do it to their own selves. They'll do it to their own family. They don't care. They don't care. I mean, I'm telling you, this is Nazi Germany, and if you can just get that into your head, well, then you'll be able to understand everything. Look, this is not in any way funny.
Mark, do you think
as a kid?
Mm-hmm. Do you think that Trump is going to? Okay, let me ask you this quickly.
Go ahead, ask. Go ahead.
Do you think Trump is going to destroy this country?
No. Did Hitler destroy Germany? No. I'm just telling you. There's a point at which all this ends, but we're not close.
Well, I don't see brighter days for the United States government. I don't see brighter days with this guy in the White House. I'm still in disbelief.
He's 78 years old. Okay, he can't live forever.
Yeah.
He might not make it 4 years. He might not make it. He might not make it past 80 for all we know.
What?
And look, unfortunately, it's not just him, but he's the worst part of it. That's the truth.
And what is this Elon Musk going to do? What is this Elon Musk thing I'm hearing people talking about? Elon Musk is going to be in charge, and
no, they're not going to. Look, the people of this country who are voting for Trump, as crazy as they are, they won't put up with what they accept from Trump with other people.
Okay. Why is that, I wonder?
They've shown that they don't, okay? And I don't know what that's about. Look, it's an illness. It's an illness.
Now
I don't know. Yeah, go ahead.
From an educated standpoint, Mark, what effect do you believe it'll have on the black community under this Trump administration? What negative impacts will it have on the black community?
Well, it kills the black community, but here's the thing. Here's an interesting thing to keep in mind. Of all the groups in the United States who voted for Donald Trump, the two groups that didn't do it, one was the Jews, because the Jews voted more against him than they've ever voted for against any Republican group. And the other group that did the same exact thing were black women.
Well, but he got a lot of black men. It's a lot of black men that voted for him.
Yeah, wait a second. So what I'm telling you is there are two groups in the United States that are not stupid.
That's the Jews and the black women.
black women and Jews. Now, let me say this. Overall, I understand you're right. There were some black men who voted for Trump, and I don't know I don't know where their ignorance comes from. I can't tell you.
Wait a minute, hold up, Mark. Mark. You can't say that about Bianchi.
Say it again?
I said you can't say that about Bianchi. Bianchi is a strong Trump supporter, In fact, he's been on here boasting about his love and passion for Donald Trump. If he's listening, he might even call in.
And what about it?
Well, he just says that Trump is the best thing since sliced bread.
Okay, and so anybody that believes that is a Nazi.
Okay.
That's all.
I didn't know that.
So, yeah. So all I'm saying is if you take all the black men and all the black women together, normally Republicans get about 10%. This time they got 12, and that was because of black men. Mm-hmm. But the reason it stayed so low is because black women weren't messing around.
Yeah,
So that's all I can tell you. I mean, I'm just telling you about the numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Black women use their heads, and everybody else in this country was basically a moron.
Wow. Mark, shifting gears back to our local scene here. You know, we've got this up-and-coming mayoral race coming up. And on last Thursday, there was a gathering in the Bevo Mills area where all the candidates were there. Yeah. And I've heard, I wasn't there, but I got reports that people were not very pleased with the mayor.
Right.
And I also heard that Michael Butler was, in fact, one of the strongholds in that debate over there, and that said he got some real good brownie points and that he was a strong candidate, along with Kara Spencer, of course. I personally was looking at the way things have been going in our city with just like, let's use this last snowfall, for example. A horrible response to the snow. We've had ample years of surplus we should have had on salt, where they could have at least treated the streets and so on and so forth. In my neighborhood, trash hasn't been picked up in over a week, but they're still going to charge us for it. Should citizens have to pay for trash when it's not picked up? Is that fair?
Well, if that were our only problem, we'd be in great shape.
No, that's not our only problem. It's just one of the problems, and I'm just using that as an example of how the people often come up with the short end of the stick. Now, they're charging us to pick up trash, and they're not picking it up. That's wrong. They should prorate and give the people some of their money back for the trash that they didn't pick up last week. I don't like to be charged for stuff I'm not getting.
I hear what you're saying, but, in a way, I'm going to say this is an example of white people's problems. Mm-hmm. Because I can tell you right now, we can all talk about the trash. That's just not the biggest problem in America for anybody. I would say the big problem, if you want to argue, you want to be upset, I want to be upset about the fact that if you're a black woman and you're pregnant, it's 4 times more likely that you'll die than a white woman. I think we should worry about that. And I'll take the trash and worry about that another day.
Well, how can we do both? We can do both. I say we need to worry about both.
Do you think they're equivalent?
Well, I wouldn't say that. I think that my biggest concern is paying for something that I'm not getting. That's always a big concern for me, to pay for something that I'm not getting. It's like you're just taking my money. We have an abundance of issues and problems that plague our community on a day-to-day basis. Yeah, trash should be at the bottom line, but I was just using that because we can relate to that, what's going on right now physically, that we live in a city that don't think enough of us to put salt on our secondary streets and attempt to pick up garbage. That's the least that they can do because we're paying for that. They're not giving that services to us. Those are services that we are paying for. So I'm saying today that the city should have been more prepared for the snowfall last week. The city should be doing a better job of having smaller trucks to plow these side streets. The city, when Freeman Bosley was in office, you can say what you want to say, at least the streets were salted. They did mix a little salt and sand together to stretch it, but they salted all of the side streets under his administration. I know that for a fact because I was here.
Yeah. Well, you know what? And I don't mean to make light of something that has some importance, but I will say, and you mentioned Freeman, I'm more concerned about the fact that Freeman Sr., who is, of course, extremely elderly,
Extremely, yeah.
is sort of struggling right now in his, elder. And I'm more worried about that than I am about the trash. But, okay, I get it.
Okay, Mark. Back on this education piece. As a city of St. Louis, from your perspective, being an educator, what is being done wrong, and what needs to change to improve the quality of education for Black children in North St. Louis?
Oh my God, are you kidding me? Look, in the first place, I know how to fix the problem, but I don't know how to get it to actually happen. So, for example, I can tell you, and I've told you many times, you've got an institution in this city. It's been here for 45 years, and it protects young Black scholars. And that, of course, is Cardinal Ritter.
Mm-hmm.
And then you've got Vashon High School, which...
You used to work there. You used to work there, too. Now,
I used to work. Yeah, I know all about it, sure.
Mm-hmm. So you can speak firsthand.
I was on the air with Jamie Allman about a week ago, and I said to him, and I didn't even know the exact numbers, but since then I've learned that I was 100% right, that the Board of Education in the city here has enough white people on it that are running it, that you've got white people running Black lives, and honestly, I don't care what they say. They don't care.
Mm-hmm.
And until you get people on that board, and I admit they could be white, but that's not what we've got. We've got white people who don't care. Mm-hmm. And what they've done in the course of the 25 years that I've been teaching here is criminal. Now,
it's beyond that. It's beyond criminal.
Yeah. How do you fix it? And I'm telling you, all you got to do is walk into Cardinal Ritter any day,
mm-hmm.
and you'll know exactly how to fix it. And Cardinal Ritter is 1 mile from Vashon.
Mm-hmm.
Vashon's all Black. Cardinal Ritter is all Black. But the difference is like the other side of the moon. The Black kids at Cardinal Ritter are treated with respect as a family, and everybody works together to try to deliver the best education you can for these young people, and it's 45 years. And believe me, of all the Catholic schools in St. Louis, the only one that's growing, white or Black, is only it's Cardinal Ritter.
Mm-hmm.
And that's because everybody wants to get their kid to a place of safety and great scholarship.
Mm-hmm.
And there's just nothing else I can tell you besides that, Prince.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if it's true or not, but I'm hearing a lot of people say that the children at Cardinal Ritter, they achieve academically more so than children in other schools. That's what I'm being told.
They are what?
They are achieving academically more so.
Yeah, well, of course.
And I'm just curious to know how can the same city have two schools a mile apart and it be differences night and day is right. What I'm not getting.
Right. Well, it has to do with respect. It has to do with people who are decent. It has to do with really the basics of good education are all about relationships, and Cardinal Ritter has healthy, positive relationships throughout the school. And then if you go to just 1 mile down the street to Vashon, you got a bunch of dysfunctional adults fighting each other over everything. And then when the kids go nuts, they wonder why.
They blame it all on the kids.
Yeah, they wonder why.
And I think a lot of this stems from not only dysfunctional teachers and adults, but dysfunctional families that send their children.
But be careful. But be careful, because let me tell you, the families at Cardinal Ritter have problems like every other family. You know, dysfunctional, everywhere. That's not the point. The point is, when you walk into Cardinal Ritter, you know what's expected, and I don't mean compliance, although there is compliance. There's compliance and order, but that's not it. It's because of respect.
Mm-hmm.
People respect each other.
And that you saying that they don't do that at Vashon?
Oh, please! What are you talking about? Those kids get pepper sprayed. They go into classrooms with police and make the kids, unload out of their pockets what they've got. Well, what do they have? Most of what they have is like Radio Shack. Okay. Now, I'm not saying the Cardinal Ritter doesn't have electronic equipment. They do. But you know what? In my classroom, and this is a simple point, kids got a phone out, and they're not allowed to have a phone out. So I walk up to the kid, I look at him, I laugh, and I say, hey, Johnny, please put the phone away. And guess what they do?
Put the phone away.
They put it away.
Mm-hmm. Well, Mark,
end of story.
Very quickly, since you brought that up, I was just reading a week or so ago at Normandy. They're trying to ban the cell phones from being even brought to the schools. What's your take on not having kids bring phones to the school at all?
Some kid will walk in there and punch the principal, and they'll blame it on the kid being black. But I'm going to tell you right now, you mistreat kids, they'll mistreat you. And taking away cell phones from kids, that's not good. That is not good.
But
do
not.
And listen, listen. The adults are no better. We all walk around with our phones in our faces, reading whatever it is that we do. And all I'm telling you is, you're not going to fix the problem of the world and America, which is a cell phone addiction. You're not going to fix that by trying to boss a bunch of kids around. They're going to kick back.
Mm-hmm. Well, Mark, I got to ask a question. Do cell phones hinder or distract children from learning?
Wow, that is such a tough discussion. I mean, in one sense, of course. If they're sitting there on their cell phone, that's going to be a problem. But listen to this. The kids at our school also have computers on their desk. So if you take away their cell phones, you think they're not going to use their computers? Of course they are. Now, I know what they're supposed to be doing in class, but do you think you think you're not going to have a kid in class watching a football game instead of doing their work? Well, of course they're going to. They're just distractions, Prince.
What's your take, Mark?
There are.
Mark, what's your take? I'm hearing now that they got some new thing out with the kids and these gaming, and where they can actually gamble online with. I don't know the extent of it, but they said there's some kind of way that the children can actually bet monies with these different games online. Is that going to create another addiction?
No, the answer is they can do it, yes. But I'll tell you this. If I could get every kid in my school to be sitting online all day long watching stock prices, I'd accept that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, stock prices. Why are they watching the stock prices?
Because listen, if after that, you know, maybe somebody would say it distracted them from their chemistry work, but if they ended up with a $150,000 a year job at Goldman Sachs, okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm all for them taking the phones away. I don't think that they should have them in the school.
Well, good luck.
Yeah, I mean,
they're not gonna do that. Listen, you're fighting the wrong war.
Yeah,
you're not gonna win.
Huh.
You're not gonna win.
Well, it's just like we're not going to win with people having the phones and then they're calling folks up to the school to fight and shoot and all this other crazy stuff.
No, they don't do it at my school.
Well, you're lucky.
No, it's not luck.
You think
it's not luck.
You think the atmosphere and the teachers and the administration and the faculty and all that is a contributing factor to those children behaving and being better?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, I'm not at the schools every day. I don't know what's going on in these schools.
Well, you haven't come in. I've offered for you to come in any time.
Well,
you never come.
I came back when you were at Vashon. That was some years ago.
I know, but never is not the same as a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you never have come. And let me tell you something. If I tell you that the way to stop a kid from having their phone out at Cardinal Ritter is to just nicely say, can you please push away? Ha ha. And they put it away. If that works, isn't that good enough?
Yeah, to a certain extent. But how many times do you have to do that is the question. I mean, you don't want to have to keep...
Let's say I do it 10 times in a classroom of an hour and a half. Let's say I do it 10 times.
They're not listening.
Hey, but you know what? They listen.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Mark.
Only
if you say so. But Mark, I do want to make sure that I, in fact, let you know that last month, but and I know you're going to say get a lawyer. I already know this, but I was told that I was going to get some money from St. Louis Development Corporation that was sent here by the federal government on my behalf by the 30th of last month. And yeah,
get a lawyer.
I hear you, but I don't have the money for the lawyer, and they know that.
get a lawyer.
It's sad, Mark.
There are some lawyers around who will work for free.
Okay,
get a lawyer.
Well, I got to start looking for a free lawyer. And
okay.
And you know, it's sad to think that our communities look the way they look. I was talking to a young lady the other day. This sister got a daycare. She's renting at one spot, okay? And she decided to buy her a building a couple of blocks away that would be more suitable and safer for her children. She invested her money and bought a building, got the building fixed all up. All the inspectors went in. They passed everything with flying colors. And the alderperson is now holding up this lady from opening up, which is another contributing factor.
I've heard those stories for 30 years.
But that's a contributing factor to why our communities look the way they look and we're in the condition we're in.
I agree. It's not changing. Now, let me recommend one thing, because I do have one recommendation.
Go right ahead.
And it can't hurt. Elect Bill Monroe
for the school board.
That is correct.
I'm a vote for Bill and David Jackson. I got to find one other candidate to support. And explain this to me, Mark.
Anybody has to do with Adams, stay away.
Let me ask you this, Mark. How is it that a person can sit on a school board and be a president and be caught in a scandal with misappropriations of credit cards and mishandling funds, turn around and then still run for re-election? What does that say about the
elect
people?
Bill Monroe. Elect Bill Monroe is all I can tell you. And there's nothing wrong with Jackson. I like him. Sure, I like David Jackson. But I'm telling you this. Bill Monroe is banned from going to those board meetings, right?
Because they don't want him to speak the truth to power.
Okay, so here's what I'm telling you. If you're banned from that board meeting, that's the guy you need to vote for, period.
I
vote
agree.
for Bill Monroe.
I agree, and he's going to get my vote. Mark, I got to jump off of here and take a quick short break. I'll be right back. Thanks so much for calling. Continue to listen and continue to call.
Catch you later.
All right, that was my good buddy Mark Case in there. And the number to dial is 314-732-1212, 314-732-1212. Mark had a lot to bring to the table. I always enjoy talking to Mark Case, even though we don't always agree. But I agree to disagree. I just want folks to understand that there is no time for us to be sitting back and being complacent and satisfied with what's going on. We have work still to do. We's all ain't free yet. Okay, so today at 3:00, they're gonna have the meeting on West Florence and Alice discussing the economic development plan for North St. Louis City. I think that if you want to get involved, if you want to bring about bringing overdue and needed change to your community, you need to engage. You need to find something to do. And I'm saying this may not be the group for you, but at least go and hear what they have to offer. Hear what their recommendations are. And then you may, as a result, create your own leg of come back or come up or whatever you want to call it to bring about some change. So we're going to have to stop doing nothing. Doing nothing is not an option anymore. Being silent is not an option. We as a people, we as a community have to find tangible ways and tangible solutions to bring about overdue and needed change for our community, our families, and our people. And we have to understand it starts with each one of us. Prince Carter is one person. He can only do so much. You are one person. You can do so much. We have to start doing things. We need to get back in the business of bringing back block units. We need to know our neighbors. We need to know who we're living next to and become a village again so that we can stop some of this madness. A 5-year-old child was shot last night because a stray bullet went through their windows from these buffoons with all this shooting. They got 50, 100-round clips and they're unloading them in residential neighborhoods, making them weapons of mass destruction. We got to stop tolerating that. I don't know the 5-year-old. I don't know who that. I may know him because they're down in Court Square. I don't know. I may know him. Let me reserve the right on that one. I might know him. I don't know yet. But nonetheless, my heart goes out to that family. My heart goes out to those parents. Can you imagine having your 5-year-old baby in the house, in the home, and get struck by a bullet? That's no way to live, people. That's no way to live. That should be deemed unacceptable. Whomever was out there shooting, they ought to turn them in. Somebody know who was shooting them guns last night. Somebody know. And you ought to turn them in. They done struck a 5-year-old baby that's in their home. Minding their own business, not doing anything, just being a child. And you get struck by a stray bullet because these buffoons are shooting up the neighborhoods. We got to say time out, people. We got to stop this madness. We got to stop the drama. And we got to bring about some change. And it's going to start with you and I. Nobody else. Take a quick break. We'll be right back.
I think I'm hearing revolution in the air. I think I'm hearing revolution in the air. Tell me, brother, talk to me, sister. I think I'm hearing revolution in the air. Tell me, brother, talk to me, sister.
It is time for us to use our power. Please do not beg
to you. You were born with power.
Some very sad news for all of you and people who love peace all over the world. Martin Luther King was shot and was killed tonight in Memphis.
I will never say that progress is being made. If you stick a knife in my back 9 inches and pull it out 6 inches, there's no progress. You pull it all the way out, that's not progress. The progress is healing the wound that's below that.
You gotta heal the wound, baby. You gotta heal the wound. It's no good if you don't heal the wound. Welcome back to the Prince Carter Show. I am your host, Prince Carter, and I'm gonna see if I can find Bill Monroe this morning. Mark Casey was talking about Bill for the school board, and Bill is on the ballot for the school board. We got this. Listen, folks, this up and coming election in March is a crucial election for the city of St. Louis, whether you know it or not. We got work to do. We got the mayor's race. We got the school board, and I'm gonna tell you, I have been a stump, fallout, downhearted supporter of Tashara Jones. We'll talk about that briefly in a moment. Good morning. Welcome to the show. Is there a lady or gentleman?
I think it's good afternoon.
Oh, yeah, it is afternoon. I'm used to being on in the morning. Good afternoon, Mr. Dr. Monroe. Dr. Bill Monroe, candidate for the St. Louis Public School Board. He's running on the March election. What is it? March? The election is March what?
April?
Oh,
April.
It's April. I thought it was the primary was in March, I thought.
Okay, well, when is the school board election? April?
No, I think I thought it was a March, and then it's a general in April, I thought.
Yeah, I guess that's how it goes.
Yeah, the primary is in March, and then I think the general is in April. Now, if that's not correct, so I'm encouraging somebody to call in and correct me. But we need to get those dates locked in. But we know there's an election coming up for the school board as well as the mayoral race.
Yes.
And
Votes very, very, very important and critical to the existence of this community.
Bill,
Yes, sir.
Our schools are steadily declining. Our schools are steadily disappearing from the communities.
Well, the school, the services are, but the buildings are still there.
Mm-hmm.
Vacant buildings are still in our community.
We have to find a way somehow, Bill, to bring about overdue and needed change. I believe a lot of contributing factors to what we're seeing in our communities and our neighborhoods, the homelessness, the drug addictions, the crime, all these things are connected to education and lack thereof.
Yeah, I was taking some clothes out. Just give me a few minutes and I'm listening to you. I'll be right back to you.
Okay, all right.
Stay with it.
All right, but nonetheless, on the conditions of our communities and our neighborhoods, when I look at a number of people that I come in contact with on a regular, that the educational structure has failed them. And why I say it has failed them, because it didn't properly educate and teach them as relates to a lot of things that are going on. And
Brother Carter.
Yes, sir.
Brother Carter.
Yes, sir.
The state just declared publicly that the St. Louis Public Schools are less than provisionally accredited, but they're required by some state laws and what have you not to say so, because when they do that, they're going to invoke some other things coming in.
Wait a minute, Bill.
Okay.
Can you repeat that, please?
I'm saying that the St. Louis Board of Education, the school is now provisionally accredited. Provisionally, and that means that they're one step lower than they need to be. All right, provisionally, and what that means that our districts have failed us and failed our community, and they just don't want to declare it to be a total loss, because things are happening in the district that we can't stop as far as the legislature is concerned. So there are some issues there, but the St. Louis Public Schools are not accredited as far as I'm concerned because they have failed our community.
And have been failing for decades. You know,
Well, for quite a while, and now they're trying to put it in the position where the state will come back in and take it over, and that's ridiculous.
let's look at some of the things that we can expect with a Bill Monroe sitting on the board of for the school boards down there.
Let me say this. The most critical issue that we're confronted with now is to remove a board that's non-functioning so that we can restructure that board in the best, and where this board can react in the best interest of our children in this community. And that's where we are now. And to remove these, Natalie Vile is not running, and neither is Matt Davis, the white lawyer who actually was in charge of this school board, using a black female as his mouthpiece. So don't get it twisted.
And the black female that he was using is
Antoinette Cousins, Miss Cousins.
Okay, all right. I want to be clear on that. Now she's running for re-election.
You know, and that's the awkward part of this whole situation. Someone who has led this school board down the path of waste, and they want to get back on. Something's wrong with the mindset that one would feel that they would take this school board into a sewer and then get back up and be reelected. Something's wrong with the mentality of one who thinks like that.
One of the things I have a problem with, Bill, is that during this so-called audit that they had, Miss Cousins was identified as one of the perpetrators that mishandled those credit cards and did some funny twisting things with spending some monies on some trips and vacations and what have you that was out of unacceptable. But she's going to run for re-election. Is that bold or what?
Well, I think that's more than bold. I think it's criminal. And I think just like something, I hate to say it like this, just like recently some of our automatic politicians went to jail for being bold and criminal. And I think sometimes some people think they're above the law. Mm-hmm. Just like our president, who now we have a convicted felon in the White House. So stranger things than that has happened.
You know, somebody posted something on social media a little while ago, and I have to concur with it. They said there should be a standard in this country where they have to remove the question on the application of employment whether you're a convicted felon or not. They should remove that, because if you could be a convicted felon and be a president, you should be able to be a convicted felon and work any job.
Well, there's another privilege associated with that too, white male privilege. So I don't want to dwell on that. What I want to dwell on is the future of our community and the utilization of vacant school, abandoned buildings with the community, which has been my goal for the last decade, and we're moving forward with that. We need to take 2 of these vacant school buildings in our community. We make 1 vacant building. We rehab it. We make it a dormitory and a living and learning center for our boys. And we do the same for another vacant building for our young ladies. Our children are homeless, and it's a percentage of it, 56 to 6,000 kids homeless in the community, and we got to step forward and make it happen.
Bill, one of the things is homelessness is a huge factor dealing with education today for many children. But what about the transit children? The children that are over here for 2 or 3 months and then they got to move and then they got to move. How can we properly educate children under those conditions and keep them educated in the process of being transit?
Well, that's an issue. That's a mobility issue, and I'm sure. But the fact is, we have the technology, the IT technology in which to make that happen. Mm-hmm. Every child that goes to these schools How many children go to school or going to school with cell phones in their pockets?
Many of them. Most of all the
Okay.
ones I see, anyway.
Yes, yes. Even though a Bill Monroe would ban cell phone usage in the classroom, but I do believe that the cell phone usage can be advantageous to our children with some home studies and some other IT equipment in light of not being in a classroom. And our children are going to have a whole lot of makeup to do, Prince Carter. Look how many days they have missed already, and look how many days they've went underserved. Our children are in trouble, Prince Carter, and we need someone to come out with this election and vote for two men like Bill Monroe and David Jackson on that school board. There must be black men voted on that school board with don't have the fear of confrontation with white racists as the same system that has tried to run our school and trying to regain it.
Bill, for some time now, you have been banned from the school board. You're not even allowed to attend the school board meetings. And you're laughing, but it's really for lack of better words a disservice to our people in our community when you have people that are raising the issues, people that are raising the concerns, banned from raising those issues and concerns.
Well, you know, Brother Carter, it's no secret or no surprise that the two men in this city that have been banned from school board property is Bill Monroe and Chester Asher. And Chester Asher just recently, with one of the universities, the student body, has filed a complaint against the St. Louis Board of Education and a complaint against the president and vice president of the St. Louis Public Schools for disallowing the ability to speak, which is a violation of our constitutional rights and what have you. So this thing is going to be settled in a courtroom. And I do believe that it's going to be in the favor of the community because the Board of Education, St. Louis Public School, has not done anything, nothing, brother, to actually connect with this community on a positive frame and make something happen. And they proved that when they bungled the transportation issue. And as far as I see it now, there's enough money, Prince Carter. There are monies right now scheduled to go to the public schools for electric buses, for buses with different fuels and all that. And we should be working very hard to bring back the transportation system to our schools where the drivers and what have you that were taking these buses and transportation will be employed by the St. Louis Public Schools. They'll be vetted. We'll make sure we don't have criminals driving our children back and forth to these school buildings, and we got to make it happen, Prince Carter.
Bill, I'm just sitting here thinking. This is just a fly on the mind thought. When we talk about the busing and the transportation concerns and issues, with so many schools that are being for lack of better words, been abandoned, we're sending our children to areas where they're not wanted and they're not welcome. Why
that
not?
was a DSEG mistake.
Right.
That was a DSEG mistake.
Why not?
Instead of putting together the schools in our community where the community is stabilized, and we send them out there and the money goes out to schools and they benefited and our children come back with the same problems.
Would it not be cheaper, Bill Monroe? Would it not be less expensive if we rebuilt or remodeled some of these older schools, as well as maybe perhaps build new schools right in the neighborhoods and create a smaller bus system that could go through the smaller, where it wouldn't take so long, the kids wouldn't have to be on the bus that long. We can get them, they say at the most part they'd be on the bus for 30 minutes, round them all up and drop them off at the school, go round them all up and drop them off at the school in their own neighborhoods and communities where they live.
Yes. And this community is due this, friends. We owe this, friends. Now, your brother had to run. I was shoveling some snow when you called me.
Go get that show.
I love you, brother.
All right, love you too. One of the things
Take
I
care.
want to thank you for calling in, Bill. That's Bill Monroe. He's a candidate for the school board in this up and coming school board race, and I'm going to be supporting Bill and David Jackson and whoever else. I'm gonna find out who Chester Asher is backing, and I'm gonna support one of his candidates as well. I think that when you have schools in your neighborhoods, like we did when we were coming up, it's better for the children. It's better for the parents. It's more accessible. Some of these parents don't have transportation to even get to the schools where the children are. That's a disadvantage for parent participation. So I think we need to really look at and really examine how can we get more schools back into the neighborhood. When I was a child, I went to Jefferson Elementary School. I lived across the street. I literally walked across the street to school. I didn't need a bus. I remember back in the 70s when they came up with this DSEG thing, and they tricked us and told us that they were going to send some of our children to their schools and send their children to our schools, and it didn't work that way. And I think it created a disadvantage for children in our communities and our neighborhoods, because for the most part, the ones that were bused in areas where they weren't wanted or welcome, and it traumatized some of the children. I think I think that we really need to look at how can we redesign and redevelop the educational structure for our children. We are in 2025. We should be smart enough. We should be intelligent enough to know that we need to put something better in place for our children. And if it's not for the children today, at least begin the process for the children that are coming up tomorrow. We should not leave a legacy of trash. That's what I'm calling it. It's trash. This educational structure is trash that's currently attempting to educate. Yes, there are children that are doing great. Yes, there are children that are excelling. Yes, but the problem I have is too many of them are not. Too many of them don't have access to the resources and the things that they need to be productive. And it is incumbent upon all of us to say, you know what? We got to give every child a chance. We have to make it where every child has an opportunity and access to these resources to whatever it takes, whatever extent it takes for them to learn. Some children require more than others. Some children require less than others. Figure out the difference and apply it. That's what we have to be about the business of doing. We got to stop trying to shoot each other down, attack one another, decide. Everybody has an idea. Instead of shooting them down, let's put them all together and make them work in our interests. And that's what we need to be about the business of doing. We've been sitting around here for the last week, snowed in, many of us, and our streets haven't even been salted. Now, if you can agree or disagree all day long, but I'm going to be the one to tell you, for the last 4, 5, 6, 7, 10 years, we haven't had a hell of a lot of snow, people. There should be a surplus of salt somewhere that somebody's been paying for, because it's in the budget every year. Okay? Let's start there. Every year there is a budget. I don't know what the budget is. I haven't looked it up. I haven't researched it. But there's a budget for salt and treating the streets. But when they don't use that stuff, they don't use the salt, it's still there. It should still be housed and stored somewhere. So they should have some 4-wheel trucks to just drive down the side streets with nothing but salt and Ferrox salt. When Freeman Bosley was the mayor, you can say what you want to say. I didn't like it, and I thought it was a cheap rate, but it worked. They took salt and sand, mixed it up together. They were able to cover more streets, and they got those side streets, and it helped. I didn't like the sand after the fact, but hey, we didn't get stuck in the snow like folks are getting stuck now. Another contributing factor, another issue and problem that we have, because our kinfolks, some of our kinfolks, not all of them, drive so amok that they had to put these little concrete barriers to stop people from weaving in and out. So they're right there on the side. They didn't anticipate, or maybe they didn't take into consideration plowing the streets. So now the salt trucks are faced with, they don't know where those things are, because some of them are marked and some of them aren't. So they can only plow over so far in fear of running into those concrete barriers because nobody's taking the time to properly identify where those barriers are and to mark them and label them so that the salt trucks can see them, or the plows rather. I think those are some of the things that we need to really look at and take a real good look at as it relates to moving forward. I don't have a problem with them putting those concrete barriers over there to the side. I didn't like it at first. Even the Natural Bridge roundabout, I didn't like it at first. Now that I see how these things work, I've become accustomed to it, and I love it because I don't want people zooming around me and zipping in and out of lanes in front of me. Those concrete barriers on the side prohibit that. They can't do that because if they do, they're going to tear their car up. So some of them are high and drunk and tear their car up anyway. That's from not paying attention. But I think that those concrete barriers were a good idea. I really do. I didn't like them at first. I love them now. But the salt trucks and the plows, many of them don't know where they are. So that's why you got for lack of better words, half a job in plowing. But these secondary streets, and I'm gonna tell you something else. When I talk about the 4-wheel trucks that they need to have salt these side streets, they could have went over to any car dealer and finance some trucks and put salt beds on the back of them to go down these side streets as well as the alleys so that they can pick up the trash. They're not picking up the trash because some of the trucks are afraid they're going to get stuck in the alley. So they're not sending them down the alleys. But had they put salt and treated the alleys so that the trash trucks could get down them, we wouldn't be in this dilemma. So those are some of the things that we need to really look at and examine. I don't have a problem with them getting 40, 50 pickup trucks, four-wheel drive, put some salt beds on them, and have them go down these side streets. A lot of this stuff would not be so bad if it hadn't iced up and froze up. The salt would have created the slush, and it would have made it a little bit better, in my opinion. Now, if I'm wrong, somebody correct me. But there's things that we could be doing that we're not doing. And I'm going to tell you, folks, this is God is my witness. I voted for Jones for state rep. I voted for her for treasurer. And I voted for her each time for mayor. But this time around, I will not be voting for this sister. I love her. I respect her. I wish her all the luck in the world. But she cannot get my support. She will not get it. And if you choose to support her, that's on you. But I'm going to tell you, anytime the federal government sends a check and says, here, start with the Hood Census Tract, building from the ground up, and 3.5 years later, you don't see nothing? That's not the person for me. Sitting on the money. I was told I was supposed to get funding starting on the 30th of December. Ask me, have I got it? No. Why? I don't know, because they don't return calls down there. You go down there, they're not there, or they're in a meeting, and they don't call you back. And it's really discouraging. It's really heartbreaking to know that people that look like you and I are the root cause of this. Now, whether they're doing it because they want to do it or they're told to do it, I don't know. But I know they're doing it. There's no reason. As a matter of fact, I'm going to call tomorrow and file a complaint with St. Louis Development Corporation. They do not return phone calls. They do not take phone calls. If you go down there, they give you the runaround. St. Louis Development Corporation. I've been trying to reach Neil Richardson for 2 weeks. I personally went down there and left my name and number. Asked me, has he returned my call? Nope. It's sad how we allow folks that's supposed to be representing us get away with this nonsense. It doesn't make any sense. Sitting on funds that don't belong to the city, they don't belong to the mayor, don't belong to the Board of Aldermen, don't belong to the St. Louis Development Corporation. That money was sent for poor black folks in North St. Louis. And if y'all think I'm lying, prove it. I'm telling you, the money was sent and they're sitting on it, collecting the interest, boasting about the interest. And now they said they've allocated all of the funds, but they're not really saying where. or how. It's sad, man. It's sad. But again, hats off to all those that are in the mayor's race. I'm going to be looking at these candidates in the days to come. I haven't decided which one I'm going to endorse. Kara Spencer did call and asked me to put a sign up. I said, I don't care, put the sign up. Michael Butler called. He said he wanted to put a sign up. Put a sign up. But I know for a fact, under no shape, form, or fashion, will Prince Carter be supporting Mayor Jones for re-election. Won't do it. Won't do it. Love her. Wish her all the best. Won't do it. And if you choose to do so, shame on you. But that's my take on that. And again, I don't have all the answers. I don't know it all. But I'm going to tell you this. I do know that the federal government sent that check. I do know that they've been drawing the interest off that money. And I do know that nobody's gotten any of it but their personal friends and their buddies and so on and so forth. And people that, you know what? And it's almost starting to look like to me that they've been sitting on this money and holding it to use it for leverage in this up and coming mayoral race. That's what it looks like to me. That if they can wait until January, February and that would get them a bigger support base. I really believe that's what's going on. I can't prove it, but that's my opinion. And I think that it is sad that you get a $500 million check for a disinvested, red line, broke down neighborhoods and communities, and you sit on it to draw the interest. To me, that is not the leadership for me. I'm sorry. That's just how I feel. And if I'm wrong, I'm encouraging anyone to please correct me. I think that sitting on that money did a great disservice. And then they're still sitting on the Rams money. Nobody's saying. But I think that Rams money is pretty much all of that's going for downtown St. Louis. And trust and believe me on that. They got plans with that. They're going to use a lot of that. I bet you a lot of that money ends up going to that railroad exchange, the old famous bar building that they want to invest in. I believe a lot of that Rams money is going to go for that. I don't know that for a fact, but that's my theory. That's my assumption that's where they're going to use a lot of that money. But why should they be sitting on money? And folks have been begging for the money. You know, me for one, when I first learned about the money almost 4 years ago, I reached out to the mayor then, trying to get in line early. When I got in line, it was 37 people had applied for the money. Only 37. And because it was emergency money, I hurried up and filled out my little application myself. Yeah, sure did. Wrote it all out. I didn't type it. I hand wrote it. They told me I had to redo it. I said, well, blow me down. I thought it was an emergency. And when I redone it, then I had to end up going and get some other folk that were more knowledgeable of putting grants together. So I had to go and all along come to find out that a part of the condition that they were supposed to aid and assist in providing people to actually walk you through the process to get the money. It wasn't supposed to be no competition and all this other stuff that they're making it out to be. But you know what? That's our people for you. These people with educated people with degrees and whatnot have gone out of their way to keep poor black folks from getting money that was sent by the federal government. I bear witness of that. And it's a shame. It's despicable. That's what it is. It's despicable. And I think that we as a people need to understand that as long as we continue to accept and allow these things to happen, they're going to get worse. They're going to keep doing it, and they're going to keep doing it because they know that they can do it and get away with it. Just like this woman running for school board. She done got caught with her hand in the cookie jar, misusing the credit card for the kids' money, and then they're going to turn around and run for re-election? That's bodacious, that baby. That's bodacious. I will not vote for anybody that's currently sitting on that school board. I don't care who they are. If it's anybody that's already down there that sat back and allowed this to take place and was silent They don't get my vote. They might get yours, but they won't get mine. Silence is acceptance. When you're silent on something, that means you accept it. And that's my whole problem with the whole matter here. Those folks sat down there and were silent. They knew. They knew. Did nobody have to tell them? They knew that those credit cards were being misused. They knew. Eating at the Chop House on the kids' money. The Chop House on the kids' dime. Getting massages on the kids' dime. They were actually going and getting manicures and pedicures and massages on the kids' dime. Hell with the fact that the kids are not excelling. We're going to take this money and go. Don't you know if you pay me $260,000 a year, I can go get my own damn nails done. I can go get my own massage. I ain't got to take it on the credit card that's supposed to be used for the kids. That's ridiculous, man. And you gonna talk about you gonna run for re-election? Oh no, oh no. I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it. You guys can do what you want to do, but I'm gonna tell you something. Until we unite and come together on a united front, we're gonna continue to have the problems we're having. They got a meeting at 3:00 today. I'm going. West Florissant and Alice. These people got a donut shop on John and West Florissant. They had all the inspections and everything under the sun. Now, mind you, if you know anything about this neighborhood, West Florissant and John, for decades it was a little Chinese restaurant. They sold Chinese, and I think they barbecued a little bit around it too. To somebody got the grill, but nonetheless, these people are trying to open a bakery in a food desert, and to my understanding, they're trying to offer healthy baking options as well. And for the city to block and hold up these people from opening that business is a direct reflection of what they think and feel about black folks in North St. Louis. I support the bakery being open at John and West Florissant, and you should too. Because if the Chinaman can sit there for 30 and 40 years and sell rice, surely some Negroes can open up a bakery. That's just how I feel about it. Now, if I'm wrong, please, y'all, correct me. I don't want to be wrong. But I want you to correct me if and where I'm wrong. I welcome correction. I'll never sit behind this mic and think I'm too high and mighty for correction. That's what separates me from the other folk. I don't know it all, and I'm going to tell you. But I do know this. There was a Chinese restaurant that sat on West Florissant and John for decades. And now some Negroes want to open up a bakery. And you're telling them no? Why? It's a sad situation. So the I can't even say their name right now. I'm so mad. But it's at West Florissant and Alice today at 3:00. They're gonna have a meeting. They got an economic development plan for North St. Louis that they want to present. And I encourage you, if you're concerned about your community, if you're concerned about the uplift and the liberation of your people, to come out at 3:00 today. I'll be there. I'm going. I don't care. I'm going. I want to find a way to tap into any and everything that I can to help bring about overdue and needed change for my people in my community. And I pray to God that someday you join and get on board with that, because we've got work to do. This is not the best we can do, people. Believe it or not, many of us are doing fairly well. Many of us are doing pretty good. But so many of us aren't. And it's a reflection because we have not had proper representation. This sister, I feel so sorry for her. She just put all her money in this building to open up a daycare. And they want to prolong. And see, that's the thing. That's what a lot of people don't want to talk about. I wish it was some kind of way we could do an audit. This is what I would like to see an audit on. of all the black folks that tried to open up and came this close to opening up a business, but were held up and prolonged so long they had to abort mission. They had to just say, you know what? The hell with this. I'm out of money. I'm speaking from a small, very small black business. When you get your coins together to go and try to open up anything, once you get your building and stuff ready and up and you pass all your inspections, you should be cleared to go. But they have loopholes for politicians to squeeze people, to make them have to give them money, because if you don't give them money, they force you to spend unnecessary money. It ain't just the building inspectors. It's the politicians too. Okay? Don't get it twisted. They trying to put it all on all the building inspectors. They ain't been doing. Yeah, they've been doing it for decades. And nobody said nothing. But when they sent the 3 black, that's why I was mad. Me and Brother Howard had a debate about this. About them sending the 3 brothers to jail for the corruption on the Board of Aldermen. But hell, the white folks told them. They learned from them. But you mean tell me you're gonna take 3 blacks and you can't give me 1 white alderman that's on the corruption side? That's the problem I have. I don't have a problem with them getting the 3, but give me some more. Give me some from the other side too. Make it a level playing field. You know, it's sad to feel that way, but that's how I feel. Yeah, they got them. Good. But if you're going to get 1 or 2, get them all. There's no reason we should continue to vote people in office time and time again, and our communities continue to look the way they look. If you don't see a sign of improvement, a sign of enhancement, you need to vote somebody else and give them a shot at it. Because, believe it or not, contrary to popular belief, black folks, we can do better than what we are doing. I know somebody out there that disagree with that, but we can do better than what we're doing. And continuing to vote for the same people, continuing to be silent on things that affect our community and as a whole, it's time out for that. We don't have an option anymore to be silent. We must be vocal. We must be attentive to the concerns and needs of us as a people and as a community. And I'm going to tell you, folks, we can do better than what we're doing. Trust and believe me when I tell you that. It's no excuse for us to continue to sit around and just twirl our thumbs. We're not finding some tangible way to get involved, to get engaged, to do something. If it's nothing more than get a couple of kids to tutor, you know, find some kids to teach them how to fix a flat tire on a bike. It's something we can do to make a better place and a better community for ourselves. I want folks to have, because I know some of them are listening, that's in bed with the mayor. Ask her to go over to these dealerships and they can finance it. They ain't got to pay for them. They'll send it to them and they pay them later. Get some 4-wheel drive trucks and put some salt beds on them. And go down these side streets and melt some of this ice and stuff. Go down these alleys so the trash trucks can get down the alleys. That's simple stuff that we could be doing and had done for years. Should have been done a long time ago. I tell you folks, I am just so fed up with the things that plague our community that have become acceptable and so-called normal. And I was kind of glad at first about the snow because some of them Bama slowed down. I tell you that. They wasn't running them red lights and them stop signs that much when that, you know, but now they didn't got a little bit comfortable. They got some traction. They just started that again. But we have to stop accepting so little. You know, we have gotten to a place to where if it don't affect us, we don't care. You know, I don't know who that 5-year-old child was
that got shot last night, but my heart is praying for him. My heart is praying that the child is not traumatized. My heart is praying that the child is healed, and the child is given all and every resources needed in life to be as productive as possible. Because let me tell you something, folks. There's trauma behind being in a building and bullets come through the windows of the walls and strike you. That's a trauma. And we have to stop accepting what we're accepting. If it means, turning your child in. I know that's a hard pill to swallow. But, I always tell my boys all the time. I tell them, if you do something, if you're right, I support you. But when you're wrong, you're on your own. And they know that. And they understand that. And they respect that. Because I'm telling them up front. When you're wrong, you're on your own. Riding around here shooting these guns. Not being a very good shot. Creating all these stray bullets. And you're shooting innocent people, women and children. We got to stop accepting that. There should be zero tolerance for that type of behavior in our community. And we can get to that point. But we're going to have to man up. We're going to have to warm it up. And we're going to have to do some things that we haven't been accustomed to doing. There is no place for terror in our community. These babies, some of them are babies. I call them babies. They 14, 15, 16-year-olds. Walking and riding through our neighborhoods and our communities with these assault weapons, shooting 50 and 100 round drums. That's something we all need to be concerned with. You can disagree with all day long, but that baby didn't deserve that. That baby was in his house. That 5-year-old baby was in the house. Wasn't even outside playing, was in the house. It's bad enough they can't go outside. Now you tell me they can't play in the house either? Come on now. Wake up, people. Think about this. This is a sad, sad situation. And we have to find a way to hold these people accountable. Let them know when you pull that trigger, we holding you accountable. We don't care who you are. What they was shooting about, I don't know. Who they was shooting at, I don't know. All I know is it was a 5-year-old child in the house. Had to be hit. Thank God was only, they say grazed or glazed or however they said. But the baby was struck by a bullet, from a stray bullet that came into the home. Because they want to shoot all these bullets because they so ignorant that they can't shoot. They need all these bullets because they dumb asses can't even shoot right. And there's nothing we can do about that. Come on now. I don't see it happening in other neighborhoods. I don't see it happening in other communities. It's tolerated and accepted because they know that they can terrorize their own community. Because there's no repercussions or consequences. We as a people have to do better. We have to demand better because we're better than what we're doing.
I'm hearing revolution in the air. Tell me, brothers, talk to me, sisters.
But the hard truth is that not everyone is sharing in this city's splendor and glory. There are more poor than ever, more families in trouble, more and more people who need help but can't find it.
A struggle against the common enemies of man, tyranny, poverty, disease, and war itself.
And war itself, huh? Okay. I'm back. Welcome back to the Press Carter Show. I just had to hop on here today. Don't forget, folks, today at 3 o'clock, West Florissant and Alice community meeting for those that are interested and concerned about a black economic development plan for black folks in North St. Louis. I want folks to understand the purpose of me being on these airways and this platform that we're attempting to build here is an outlet for us to share information as well as vent, for lack of better words, as it relates to the ills and the conditions that plague our community. I know that one of the things that I was troubled by is that there was a series of town hall meetings conducted by the mayor. And the mayor clearly states that, according to the town hall meetings, that most of the folks want them to spend the monies on infrastructure. I wasn't involved in any of those because I tell you what, there are some infrastructure concerns I have. One of the concerns I have is Penrose and Grand. Many of you all may not remember this. I don't know if it was probably some 30, 40 something years ago. Penrose and Grand collapsed, a big hole. And now it appears that it's sinking in that area again, as if it's about to collapse again. There was a collapsed structure at Salisbury and 20th Street that has to be addressed. But why is it that all of a sudden we have to use emergency funds that were sent for poor black folks to do this other stuff that they're talking about? You know, I was told that we got some new ambulances, and we're going to need them because folks not stopping at these stop signs and red lights are going to tear them up. So there's a number of issues and ills that we have. But I don't think folks intended for them to, or requested. I wasn't there. Let me say that. I wasn't at all those meetings. But I really don't think that folks would saying spend it all on infrastructure. I don't know. I like to see those meetings. I wish I could be a fly on the wall. I just don't see it. I don't see it. And I tell you something else, folks. In the days to come, it's gonna get worse. When this little snow melt a little bit more, and these Bamas that's been confined, they're gonna run them up. You know, they tell me that they still out there breaking in cars left and right. And what's with these young folks that just determined not to work? They're not going to get a job. They ain't going to look for a job. They're not going to. And lo and behold, could it be that they know they're not qualified for a job? I don't know what it is. But a lot of these young folks just determined just to take whatever they want. They'll go in the stores and take it. They'll go in your car and take it. They'll go in your house and take it. They just, I don't get it. No sense of work ethics. They not gonna try to work. We talk about the failed educational structure, but at some point we're gonna have to look down and start really examining the failed parenting structure. So many or too many parents are failing their children. Too many parents are failing their children. When I was a child coming up, I recall folk that had children, and some of the parents were not the sharpest pencil in the box, for lack of better words. But they went out of their way to get their children in certain schools and exposed to certain environments so that they can have a better life. Education is very important, people. Teaching a child is one of the most important jobs in this world. Educating a child is one of the most important jobs in this world. But for that job to be so important, we have dropped the ball on compensating these teachers. We are going to have to do better at paying teachers and give them some incentives, because a lot of teachers in many areas and many schools are under attack. Teachers are getting jumped all across this country by children. Man, when I was a child, you couldn't pay me to think about hitting one of them teachers over at Jefferson School. The thought never even crossed my mind. These kids are really fighting teachers because of their failed parenting. Not trying to make excuses, not trying to justify, but I'm saying this because something needs to be done. What can we do? What are we going to do? How can we pay the teachers better and protect them at the same time? That should be an easy task. A lot of our young people, a lot of our children have been damaged so bad. They're damaged so bad that me personally, I wouldn't want to deal with them. Some of the young people, I don't want to have nothing to do with them. If they're disrespectful and they this, that, and another, I don't have the patience to try to, sit down and get into it. That's for somebody else. That's somebody else's expertise. That's not mine. Because if you're disrespectful, I just don't want to have nothing to do with you. Now, if I'm wrong, then God forgive me. But I'm not going to ask a child to respect me. I'm going to demand that they respect me or get away from me, or I get away from them, whichever one comes first. Some of these young people will talk to you and will cuss you out like it ain't nothing. Sometimes I hear young folks in passing, and they have the potty mouths and cussing like sailors. And I just tell them, oh, hey, can't you got some respect for your elders? And a lot of times they're toned down or piped down and apologize and move on. But I can't imagine what these teachers are dealing with on a day-to-day basis in these classrooms now. I don't even understand how they can even teach, many of them, with the social issues that they have to deal with to get order in the classroom, or just to, deal with the children who are traumatized before they get to school. We have a multitude of issues that our community is plagued with. And we're going to have to find tangible solutions, people. We're going to have to. Because it's not going to get better unless we make it better. We're not going to do better until we come together on a united front and demand that we do better. I want black folks all over the world, especially in North St. Louis, to understand this is not the best we can do. We can do better. Stop tolerating and accepting so little. Stop tolerating and accepting so little. It doesn't make any sense in 2025 that we got people that are not being properly educated. Young people. I just don't get it, people. We can do better. We must do better. We should do better.
and we will do better. Okay? We will do better, people.
I think I'm hearing revolution in the air. I think I'm hearing revolution in the air. Tell me, brother, talk to me, sister. I think I'm hearing revolution in the air. Tell me, brother, talk to me, sister.
It is time for us to use our power. Please do not beg folks for power. Nobody is going to give it to you.